wouldn't normally think of Israel and Egypt for holidays by the sea, but that's where we'll go today. We'll take a boat tour along the Nile and visit the Temple of Abu Simbel. But first to Israel, with a visit to the Sea of Galilee, the Dead Sea, and Tel Aviv. Israel has four seas, the Dead Sea, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, and the Sea of Galilee, which you can see behind me. Since biblical times, people have been coming to both the Dead Sea and along the shores of the Sea of Galilee for their mineral springs. Today, you'll find a number of health resorts and spas in both areas and some very ancient historical sites which you should include on your tour of Israel. On the western shore of the Sea of Galilee is the city of Tiberias. Legend has it that King Solomon came here for the healing qualities of its hot springs. Today, it's a favorite destination with visitors looking to escape the winter chill. The Sea of Galilee, feeding the Jordan River, is Israel's most important source of fresh water. It's also a great spot for recreation. If you're looking for a change of pace, there's a ranch just outside of Tiberias, run by an expatriate American.
I put together the things that I like, horses and people and farming, and you end up with a guest farm. But first you have to have a good, hard-working wife behind you,
That's right.
which I'm lucky to have.
What kind of horses are these?
These are purebred Arabian horses. We started off about 10 years ago by importing some horses from England, but now we're doing our own breeding. We're going into our third and fourth generations.
So what is there for people to see when they go horseback riding?
They can see 2,000 years of history. They can see beautiful vistas, lots of flora, lots of fauna, and it's a real circus here in the springtime so far as flowers are concerned. And even when it's dry in the summer, it's very nice. The country changes from let's say every 10, 15 minutes you're in a different kind of an area. It's a small country, but lots and lots of variation.
The area around the Sea of Galilee contains important Christian sites. At the north end is the Mount of Beatitudes, where Jesus preached the Sermon on the Mount. This church was built by the Order of St. Francis in commemoration. Along the shores of the Sea of Galilee, there's a very special dish called St. Peter's fish. Here, at the Hotel Gallet Canard, you can have it done just to your liking, right on the barbecue. That looks terrific, huh? Super. Is the fish from today? Yes. Great. Thank you. Tel Aviv, Israel's largest and most cosmopolitan city. It's the country's financial and commercial center.
Tel Aviv is the culture center and the main life site of Israel. You've got this main street, shopping street, and food and cafe houses. That's the Dizengoff Street. There is beautiful beaches here, and people can go just down to the beach, lay down, have the suntan. There is plenty of swim places, fishing, windsurfing, water skiing, whatever you like.
The beach in Tel Aviv runs the length of the city all the way to Jaffa in the south. The shore of Tel Aviv is also lined with a selection of hotels catering to all tastes and budgets.
Yafo, or Jaffa, is a creation of the last 30 years in the sense the way you see it today. Before, that was an old city, the central control of the country in the Turkish time, and in the beginning of this century, Jewish people started moving out, building Tel Aviv. Today, Jaffa became more of a culture place, artist center, beautiful view of Tel Aviv, and spending a day in the parks that built around the old reconstructed city of Jaffa. The main shopping place is the market, Carmel Market, which is the normal shopping place for vegetables, food, whatever you want.
Next on the travel magazine, the Dead Sea area, the lowest point in the world. At the foot of the Jordan River, the Dead Sea is over 1,200 feet below sea level, the lowest point in the world. Even the worst swimmer is buoyed up by its salt-saturated waters. About halfway down the west shore of the Dead Sea is Kibbutz Ein Gedi. Most people think of kibbutzim as farms, but they are more than that. They are collectives. People work and live together doing what they do best: farming, manufacturing, or taking advantage of a great location by running guest houses.
We have a wonderful spa and a guest house. At our guest house there is room for 220 guests who come from all over the world, from New Zealand to Japan. The reason for this being is that we have sunshine around the year. Then we have a black mud that's taken from the Dead Sea. It can't be found any other place in the world. And together, by bathing in the Dead Sea and spreading this black mud all over you, it leaves your skin soft and silky, and it makes you feel really wonderfully relaxed.
The Dead Sea area has other attractions. North of Ein Gedi, you'll find Masada, at one time a fortress of King Herod. It was taken over by hundreds of Jewish zealots who had survived the fall of Jerusalem.
In the year 68, the tension between the Jewish population and the Roman Empire reached a point of fighting. Small groups of zealots found shelter and hiding places in those castles that were built against them by King Herod the Great. One of those places was Metzada. Metzada was the last castle that managed to survive thanks to the geographical position that Metzada stands for. During the first 2 years, there was a long process of hard building of a wall to cut Metzada away from whoever wanted to get in or out, with 8 Roman camps, big square that we can, till today can see them, and then a long process of building a ramp. But in the end of the process of the building, it was high enough and wide enough to take a huge tower built out of wood with a battery ram on the top and start knocking down the wall of Metzada. And the zealots realized that it's going to be the end. The most famous act of Metzada happened. And in a very strong emotional speech, the leader of the people convinced them that they will be better off killing their own family and themselves than being slaves to the Romans and seeing their wives being abused by the Romans. The people followed this example or idea, and when the Romans entered the morning after, there was no one there to fight. Today we have almost all the remains that really can give us the unique combination of Roman civilization with Jewish ornament and Jewish decorations. We have beautiful mosaic floor in the Western Palace.
This is a symbol of Hellenistic and Roman culture, and they hated that. Not only was the mosaic not important to them for that reason, but this mosaic really represented everything that they were up against, everything that they were fighting against, what the whole war and revolt against the Romans was about.
There's a cable car which runs from the top of Masada to the foot of the mountain. There's also a snake path which winds its way up to the top. Whatever way you decide to explore it, it's one historical site which shouldn't be missed. North of Masada, in Khirbet Qumran, you can see the caves where 2 shepherds found the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. The scrolls are from the book of Isaiah and can be found in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. A voice of one calling, in the desert prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight in the wilderness a highway for our God. Next on the Travel Magazine, a trip along the Nile to Aswan and a visit to the remarkable temple of Abu Simbel. The city of Aswan was a sleepy town until the Aswan Dam construction in the 1960s. While the city now has a population of 500,000, visitors can still find a sense of tradition, which is a part of the daily life in Aswan. There are different ways to explore Aswan. The most fun are the traditional ways. You can take a horse and carriage ride through the streets, or you can board a felucca and see the sights. We spoke with our guide Akram.
We take those feluccas, the sailboats that are everywhere here. And actually a visit to Aswan is not complete unless you take one of these sailboats. You really feel how beautiful is the Nile and how clean is the Nile and how quiet is the Nile and the area around it when you take the feluccas. It's a very nice and relaxing way of seeing the area around.
In the center of the Nile is Kitchener Island, where you'll find the botanical gardens.
It's a small island here in the city of Aswan, and it was chosen by Lord Kitchener, who was on his way to Khartoum, Sudan. On his way to Khartoum, he stopped here, and he chose this little island to be his little rest place. This man was a great fan to flora in this part of the world, and he started importing a few plants from Southeast Asia. Thanks to the dry weather of Aswan, the island became a little paradise. In this island we had some plants that are not found anywhere else in Egypt. And a walk through this island is very nice, it's very relaxing. When you are in a country like Egypt, when you see a lot of deserts, walking through a beautiful garden like this is such a relief to the mind.
As you float down the Nile, you'll pass the mausoleum of the Aga Khan.
He had some small property here. He wished that when he dies, he would love to be buried here. And it is true that his wife granted him that wish, even though he died out of Egypt, but the mausoleum was built for him, and his body was moved to be buried in this beautiful spot.
If you get tired of walking, you can always take a ride on a camel. How are you today? Can I go for a ride on the camel, yeah? Okay.
Welcome, yes.
Okay. There are other ways to travel the Nile, some quite luxurious indeed.
A Nile cruise is a very nice and relaxing way to see Egypt, to see the real Egypt, to see the country, to enjoy the monuments, and to learn about this country. It's a good chance to see people, and to talk with people, and see ancient and modern Egypt together.
South of Aswan are the two temples of Abu Simbel, almost lost to the world.
Abu Simbel became so worldwide known because when the Aswan Dam was being built, when the lake behind the dam was being formed, we found out that this beautiful monument that we could not afford losing will all be submerged under the water of the lake if we do not hurry and save it. So we were lucky because the whole world helped Egypt, and we succeeded in saving the monument and moving it to a higher ground.
The temple was cut into thousands of parts and reassembled 200 feet above its original site. The seams are practically invisible.
The monument is cut in the rocks in sandstone mountain, and it depicts 4 seated statues. I mean, they're big in size, they're really big in size, of King Ramses II. He was there as if he was guarding his temple that he built there. And the temple inside is beautiful. It's all cut by hand, and it still has some colors there. The second temple was built by the same king, King Ramses, in a pure dedication to his beloved queen, Queen Nefertari. The other temple is a little smaller in size, but it's also beautiful and magnificent.
If you're interested in Egypt as a vacation destination, remember, it has 2 sides.
To really see the 2 Egypts, you have to discover that by yourself. I mean, it's very safe here, so you can walk freely in the streets, you can talk to the people, you can walk into the shops, go to the stores. You will be amazed when you realize how friendly are the people here, and they're very hospitable, and they're all are very eager to start a conversation, you know. And actually, it makes a lot of difference, because I want you to know that Egypt is not just a country that has monuments. Egypt also is a country that's very rich with the people.
A final travel tip from Egypt. Not all hotels necessarily accept your favorite credit card, so don't leave home without at least 2 of them. Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. Join us again. I'm Jake de Boer saying goodbye from Abu Simbel in Egypt.